The school's security camera footage shows Colleen walking out of the classroom and down the hall and then into the ladies' restroom. It is what the security camera footage catches next that's super chilling about this story. It shows Philip waiting a few seconds and then coming out, kind of looking down the hallway, and then he goes down the hallway in the same direction. Then it shows Philip walking into the female restroom where Colleen had just went to. Not long after that, it shows another female student going to walk into that restroom, but then leaving out immediately. Now, a few minutes later, the camera shows Philip leaving the restroom in a hurry, and then not long after that, it shows him coming back. When he comes back, he's wearing a mask, gloves, and he's pulling a recycling bin. He pulls the recycling bin into the bathroom, takes a few minutes, and then pulls it out again with the gloves, the mask. He wheels the bin down the halls, out the school, and past people. He pushes it down the sidewalk, and then he disappears from the cameras. Later that evening, when Philip does not return home from school, his mom begins to worry. She contacts the school. Nobody has seen him. She contacts local authorities. Now, local authorities start looking for him. They're calling around. They're calling his cell phone. They cannot get in touch with him. However, at the same exact time, Colleen's parents began to worry because she was missing as well. They were calling her cell phone. It rang and rang and rang, and nobody answered. They eventually went up to the school to look for her, and they noticed that her car was sitting right there in the parking lot. They went to her classroom, and she was gone. Her sweater was still sitting on the back of the chair, and it just did not seem right. I mean, Colleen's parents knew that she had the same exact routine every day. She would not just up and leave and go somewhere and not call her mom. You know, her family was her life. It's not like she had a husband or a boyfriend or kids. She's just gone. Now, at this point, they contact authorities as well, but the authorities are way more focused on finding 14-year-old Philip. I mean, this is a teenager. Colleen's an adult. She may have gotten a ride and went down to the Dairy Queen for all they know. The cops came to the school and started searching the school, and nothing looked too out of place except for a bathroom. It looked very clean. It smelled like chemically clean. Very, very clean in there. However, when you're walking out the door, there was a handprint that looked like a handprint smear, but it was very, very faint. And this is when this female officer who found this started calling her partners over. They looked at it. They did not touch it. They started discussing. And before you know it, the police department put a tracker on Philip's phone. Now, when they put a tracker on Philip's phone, it pinged at a movie theater not far away. They went to the movie theater and they found out that Philip actually watched like 1 or 2 movies. And they're thinking, what the heck? So while other investigators are at the school, they pulled the security camera footage, and that is when they saw everything that they saw. And they're thinking, what the heck happened? And they got the dogs. The dogs started searching everywhere. They were looking for him, for her. Sometime after midnight in a neighborhood, somebody called the authorities and said, there is a person walking around in this neighborhood. He has got a hoodie on and a jacket. It is really late. Can you just come and make sure he's not doing anything? When the cops come, they find that it's Philip. And when they got him, they asked him where he'd been, all of that. He wasn't giving a lot of information up, but he had his backpack on from school. When they searched his backpack, they found a box cutter, Colleen's debit cards, and some cash. And they found a pair of underwear, women's underwear. They immediately took this 14-year-old young boy in for questioning and called his mother in as well so they could question him. They continued to search out there by the school. Right before that, though, they had found Colleen's purse. It was completely empty. It was just the purse. And then later on, when they were walking up, they found a pair of tennis shoes, which was some gray tennis shoes that had some on them. They found a couple gloves that were turned inside out, and then they came up on this pile of leaves. And when they uncovered the leaves, they found Colleen's lifeless body from the waist down and deceased. She definitely seemed to have been assaulted in that way. He put her body in that recycling bin and then wheeled her down into the wooded area. They went in to question him again, and this is when he started telling a little more. And he denied the assault, in that way. He denied that. I've heard different stories, okay? I've watched testimonies of the court proceedings. I have read the autopsy reports and the data. And the way that they do it at this school is the last period class ends at 1:55. However, from 1:55 to 2:30, they have what they call a bubble period. Now, for that 35 minutes, you can either study, you can stay after class or go to another class and get tutored by that teacher for 35 minutes, or you can get into a study group or go to the library, anything school related that is beneficial to you for that last 35 minutes. One of the students said that Colleen walked over to Philip, who was kind of slouched in his seat and not saying anything, and noticed that during class he was drawing on a notepad instead of taking notes like he was supposed to be. This student said that Colleen bent down to him and said, "Wow, you're really good at drawing." And he said, "Yeah." And she said, "Do you mind staying after class to talk to me?" And that's what the student said that they heard. However, later on, it is said by another teacher that Colleen came out of the classroom to talk to this other teacher in the hallway. Her and this other teacher, while the two students were still in the class for this bubble period, were talking about all kind of random stuff. They were talking about what they were going to do. And then Colleen told this teacher that the young girl that was in there stayed after class so she could draw on the board, and that she didn't really know why Philip was in there. He didn't need to be in there. He was doing just fine in the class, but he was in there, and they didn't think too much of it. And then Colleen went back into the classroom. So that is where the two stories, nevertheless, it doesn't really matter. Philip stayed after class with this girl and with Colleen. And this is when Colleen excused herself from the room and said that she had to go to the restroom. So with a combination of his story and autopsy and evidence, what it seems like happened is on this day, he stayed after class for whatever reason. She went to the restroom. He followed her in there. He assaulted her in that way. He did whatever else he did to her. The girl walked into the restroom while he was in the middle of the assault. Now, they were in the restroom, Philip and Colleen's body, for 11 minutes. And I mean, a lot of stuff can happen in 11 minutes. It's so heartbreaking. When the girl walked in and walked out, he got spooked. He thought he was caught, and then he rushed out, went and got his gloves. Now, that day at school, he actually brought with him the box cutter and the gloves and all of that, and the mask, which pretty much tells us it was premeditated, right? And he went and got the recycling bin, brought it back, put her body in it, wheeled it out there, assaulted her again, took her panties, kept them, took his gloves off, took his shoes off. He went back into the school, went to his locker and changed clothes again, okay? So in the beginning, he had on one outfit, then he had on another, and then he put on an all black outfit that he had in his locker, and that's what he left and went and took her cards that he stole out of her purse, went to the movies. It is alleged that he saw like 2 movies, okay, and then was walking down the street when authorities were notified and he was picked up. He had actually moved from Tennessee 2 months prior and had started a new school there at Danvers with new people in a new town, and just him and his mother had moved there. Now, his mother, come to find out later on, had just went through a nasty divorce from Philip's father, and it is said that it got really ugly and was very difficult, and then Philip's mom moved with her and him there to Danvers. He took it to trial. They tried everything. They tried him, being insane. They tried that he snapped, that his mother and the defense attorneys tried he had just had a terrible accident from his dad being separated from his mom and the move and all of that, and he went into a psychosis. But however, after many different evaluations, he was fully competent to stand trial. Now, he was found guilty, get this, for the premeditated and deliberate murder of Colleen. He got 40 years for the assault in that way. And for the armed robbery, he got life with the possibility of parole in 25 years. Now, thankfully, he got the other charge, the assault charge, because he'll have to do 40 on that regardless. He will be in there at least until he's like in his upper 50s. However, his family did say that they were going to fight that he is not released on parole, that they want him to stay in there. That is their personal choice. I mean, I can't imagine what they're going through, and I definitely can't speak on that, but I understand their hurt and pain. Philip's mother was in court just crying. I just cannot imagine as a mother. Now, they said there was no warning signs with him. which I do find hard to believe. You know, sometimes we look past things as a mom. We think, oh, it's nothing. Oh, they're just whatever. However, I don't know. Maybe there was no warning signs. If there wasn't, that's even scarier in my opinion. Obviously, he has mental issues, in my personal opinion. You cannot not have serious mental issues and do this type of thing to a person. The way that they worked this for him was that he was 14 years old when he was arrested at the time. 14, just a baby. He is supposed to stay in the juvenile system until he's 21 and then he goes to prison. I don't think that should happen. No. Don't baby him in there with other kids and then also possibly, you know, inspire or encourage or rub off on other children. No, put him with the adults. He wants to do big boy things. He needs to be in the big boy camp. Okay, that's my personal opinion. This was premeditated evilness, and you want to know how bad it really was in his heart. He attacked in 2014 while he was waiting to go to trial for this. He attacked a female guard clinician. She was labeled both things at the juvenile justice facility. Now, it is said that he had been talking to her for months there. She was probably giving him medication. I don't know. I've been in juvenile justice system, so I'm envisioning her being a guard, but also clinician. She's probably the person that came and brought meds to them. I'm just guessing. And he waited until she went into another room. He had a pencil and he went in there and was trying to attack her when she screamed and the other guards came running and got them off. So he did this again. Why is he still in with the kids? Put him with the adults. That's my opinion. Colleen's family filled up most of their side of the courtroom. I mean, she had so many people that loved her and supported her. And, you know, God bless her and her whole entire family. Like, I just cannot imagine. She was a 9th grade algebra teacher. She was that teacher at her school that everybody loved. I mean, she definitely seemed like the kind of teacher and had the reputation of a teacher that made math fun. It's so sad, and it does make me think too, which I hope her family is healing. I hope they're doing okay, but it makes me think about those teachers in that school. You know, like the trauma that has spread, especially in that school, probably to other teachers in different places that had heard of this story at the time, but definitely in that school, especially when you have a very nice teacher too. What more could she have done to not be attacked and killed by her student? And what does that say about our future, especially with social media now and children being exposed to these things? They just pick up their phone and it's right there.